we have an interview now with Lubnah Shomali, and that is to do with an Ireland Palestine Solidarity event that's happening in Ennis next week. It's going to mark Nakba Day 2026 and focus on the ongoing plight of Palestinian refugees and displaced people. And we're going to be chatting with Lubnah Shomali in just a little while. But we have another brilliant competition for you this week. I did mention it, so we'll give the details on that now. It's with Landscape and Leisure Cycles at the Town Centre car park in Kilrush. And they're a family-run business based in Kilrush with over 40 years of experience in the garden machinery trade. In 2015, they expanded into bicycle sales and servicing and have since become a trusted local hub for cyclists across West Clare. And they have a wide range of bicycles, including children's bikes, hybrids, road bikes, mountain bikes, and much more besides. And Bike Week 2026 is underway. It's running until Sunday, the 17th of May. And to celebrate Bike Week, the customers can enjoy 10% off all in-store and online purchases using the promotional code BikeWeek10 for Landscape and Leisure Cycles at the Town Centre car park in Kilrush. So for this week, we have a €300 voucher for Landscape and Leisure Cycles to give away on Friday. So when we have our end of week draw, we look for daily qualifiers each day this week on the show. So if you want to be in with a chance of being our very first qualifier for Friday's draw to win that €300 voucher for Landscape and Leisure Cycles, we want to get your thoughts on this rather unusual story, because Hungary's famous dancing politician has given a special performance outside the inauguration of the country's new Prime Minister. Zsolt Hegedűs, who is set to become the next health minister, previously went viral for dancing during the April election victory celebrations. He gave a repeat of his iconic performance for crowds of supporters outside the Parliament building recently as Péter Magyar became Prime Minister, ending Viktor Orban's 16 years in power. So that's certainly... it's an unusual thing for anyone to do, even more so a politician. So if you want to be in with a chance of being our first qualifier for Friday's draw to win that €300 voucher for Landscape and Leisure Cycles, tell us about the most unusual thing you have ever done. What is the most unusual thing you have ever done? Let us know on 086 1800 964 with your name and where you are from.
Morning Focus with Alan Morrissey, giving you all sides of the story. First, Clare FM.
Now, an event taking place in Ennis is going to mark Nakba Day 2026 and focus on the ongoing plight of Palestinian refugees and displaced people. Organised by Clare Palestine Solidarity, the meeting at the West County Hotel will feature Palestinian human rights advocate Lubnah Shomali from BADIL, who's currently on a speaking tour across Ireland. And Lubnah joins us now to discuss her work, the issues facing Palestinians today, and the message she hopes to bring to audiences here in Clare. Good morning to you, Lubnah.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Your event is titled Return is Our Right and Our Destiny, Ending Israel's Genocide and the Ongoing Nakba. Why is the concept of ongoing Nakba so central to your message?
It's central because it's important to use the correct terminology to describe the situation in Palestine. What we have seen occurring in Palestine across time is the ongoing forced displacement and transfer of the Palestinian people, ongoing Israeli colonization in Palestine, not just in the occupied territory of 1967, but it began in 1948 with the historic Nakba, the ethnic cleansing of 750,000 Palestinians from what is now called Israel. And it has continued to this day with an overarching system of domination in the form of apartheid. So it's very important to understand that the Nakba didn't start and end in 1948, but it continues to this day. And what we see today, or what we have seen since October of 2023, is an escalation of these international crimes into the atrocity crime of genocide. And we should not be surprised by this, because since the international community has failed to hold the Israeli regime responsible for its historic crimes, it is the natural escalation or the natural progression of things that these crimes would continue to escalate and evolve into more higher level and more significant atrocities and crimes.
Lubnah, you've described the current situation in Gaza as a live-streamed genocide. From your perspective, what has it been like watching these events unfold in real time before a global audience?
It's completely debilitating and completely traumatic. I mean, I don't know how we are going to recover, not just from the physical and the material aspect of the level of destruction that the Israeli regime has wrought on our Palestinian brothers and sisters in the Gaza Strip, but also throughout historic Palestine, and also now implementing the same genocidal playbook in southern Lebanon. The fact that the genocide has been allowed to continue pretty much unabated for almost 3 years is just completely mind-boggling. And once again, I have to say it, even though I may sound like a broken record, but the fact of the matter is that when no one holds the Israeli regime to account for its international crimes, the only thing that we can logically expect is the escalation and the expansion of these crimes into other areas. And this is not me talking without a deep understanding of what's happening in Palestine, because there is a plan. The Israeli regime does not do anything without a plan, and it is written down. It's not something that is just said in the air. In 2017, Bezalel Smotrich created the decisive plan. In 2022, it was adopted by the current Israeli coalition government. And in that decisive plan, they talk about a greater Israel, meaning that Israel is going to not only include historic Palestine, but also Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria, and parts of Saudi Arabia. And as a colonial apartheid regime, it is in its very nature, one of its founding principles is colonial expansion. And so if the international community, if third-party states do not act to end Israeli atrocities and crimes, then we are going to see the fulfillment of this decisive plan, not only in Palestine, but within the whole Arab region.
Lubnah, you've used the word genocide as in terms of what's happened in Gaza, and various international organisations and indeed genocide scholars have said what has been and is taking place is a genocide. But there are those, obviously, particularly supporters of Israel, who dispute that. I'm sure you've had these arguments with people. I'm sure there are even people listening to Morning Focus this morning who don't feel it's a genocide. What would you say to them, and what do you say to people who pick you up on that and argue with you about how to describe what has been taking place?
There are two reasons people deny the ongoing genocide in the Gaza Strip. One is denial means that they don't have to take action to stop the genocide. And this is not unusual because, for example, when we look at the ongoing Nakba, we look at Israeli crimes that began prior to the Nakba in 1948. We look at forced displacement and transfer, colonization, and apartheid. And there has been a significant denial by the international community that this is actually taking place. Oftentimes, the Palestinian issue is perceived or described as a conflict when it is not. It is a situation of it is a situation of colonizer and colonized, of oppressor and oppressed. And so denying these facts on the ground, of course, allows the international community and states not to take actions that are their obligation to take, such as sanctions, in order to hold the Israeli regime accountable. So the denial in a certain way allows them to evade their international obligations according to international law. That is point one. Point two is the definition of genocide is the intent to cause a level of physical destruction to eliminate a group in whole or in part. So there are 2 points. There's one, the intent, and number 2, the actual destruction of a group in whole or in part. And the facts speak for themselves. The facts speak for themselves. Over 70,000 Palestinians massacred, over 90% of the Gaza Strip completely destroyed, tens of thousands of Palestinians still under the rubble, whole generations of Palestinian children facing and suffering from malnutrition that will alter their lives permanently. The domicide, the scholasticide, all of these acts, as well as the announcements and the statements made by the Israeli regime to eliminate the human animals inside the Gaza Strip. So the facts are there, and we are not making the facts up. If you look at the wide range of documentation from Palestinian and international organizations, including the UN, including the Commission of Inquiry on Israel and Palestine, including the United Nations Special Rapporteur, including the Office of the High Commissioner, et cetera, et cetera. There is a plethora of documentation that has been amassed on what is actually happening in the Gaza Strip.
Your talk focuses on what people can do to help, Lubnah. What forms of international solidarity do you believe are most effective? I've no doubt you will feel that, despite what's been done by various countries, so much more can be done. But whether in terms of action that has been done or needs to be done, what are the most effective ways?
Well, we have to start calling things what they are. We have to use the proper labels according to international law. We can no longer refer to the situation as just an occupation of the 1967 territory. We have to acknowledge and recognize that Israel is a colonial apartheid regime. And by virtue of it being a colonial apartheid regime, it is prohibited under international law. We have to recognize that the ongoing Nakba means that 66% of the Palestinian people, 10.15 million Palestinians, are either refugees or internally displaced persons or both. And once we get to this point, once we recognize this issue, international law dictates the solutions. And a colonial apartheid regime must be completely dismantled. Remedy and reparations must be provided to the survivors and the victims of these international crimes. And this means the right of return and the right of self-determination of the Palestinian people. And then once the colonial apartheid regime is completely dismantled, all its structures, policies, practices, obliterated from the river to the sea, then we can begin to create new democratic, inclusive structures, political, social, economic structures, based on the rule of law, based on democracy, based on human rights, so that we can create a situation that is secure and stable for all, not only all those in Palestine, but also all Palestinians who will return, and also for the whole region.
Lubnah, Ireland has been one of the more vocal European countries in expressing solidarity with Palestine. We've obviously officially recognised the state of Palestine. Again, supporters of Palestine in this country will feel the government could be doing a lot more. But how significant has support from communities here in Ireland been?
It's been absolutely significant and absolutely crucial. The only way to get governments to uphold their obligations is to put pressure on them through the escalation of direct actions that disrupt the status quo and cause material cost. It's been that way since the beginning of time. The people have always been the ones to seek and ensure their rights. I don't know of any situation across a world where governments have actually handed out rights without being made to, without having the demand come from the people to provide those rights. So it's absolutely essential, the work that has been done by the International Solidarity Movement, and also specifically about the International Solidarity Movement in Ireland. They have been diligent, they have been committed, they have been clear in their demands for sanctions, and have been clear in their demands for the Irish government to end its complicity with the Israeli genocide and its ongoing crimes. But sadly, the Irish government has not been listening. They have not been listening, and they have not been acting. They have not been fulfilling the will of their people for sanctions. And they provided symbolic and very performative recognition of the Palestinian state. And this did not end the genocide. It did not create a better situation for Palestinians. It did not end the crimes of forced displacement and transfer, colonization, and apartheid that they have been subject to for over 78 years. And so it falls upon the Irish government to listen to the demands of their people, to stop offering performative and symbolic initiatives of recognition, and actually take practical measures in the form of sanctions in order to end the Israeli crimes and atrocities being committed against the Palestinian people.
You are going to be in Ennis at the West County Hotel on Wednesday evening from 7:30 for Return Is Our Right and Our Destiny, the ongoing Nakba, ending 78 years of Israeli apartheid and genocide. Before that, you're in Monaghan this evening and then Limerick tomorrow. Lubnah Shomali, the Palestinian human rights advocate, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Focus.
Thank you for having me.